Welcome to episode 43 of Meet the GIMP. This week I'll cover two topics. The first one is RAW Studio. Serge had reported on meetthegimp.org about the release of the 1.0 version of RAW Studio. And therefore I had to try it. And I can say I'm very impressed. The second topic is, well, a walk down memory lane. I show you how I have worked with LithFilm in the past and how to get similar results today with GIMP. And now for an introduction into RAW Studio. This here is RAW Studio, the RAW converter for Linux that has just been released in version 1. And let's have a look around. On top is a line with thumbnails of all the images that are in one directory, in the directory I have opened. See, there are lots of them. These images are in different categories here. These here are the images that are not, well, all images. Then I have priority 1, 2 and 3. This is okay, we can look. This is take a deeper look, and these are the keepers. Here are unprioritized photos. They are nearly all of them, and I even can delete images. This here is the image window, where I can look at the image and fit to the available place and right-click zoom to 100%. Let me do that here. And you see the money for the 105mm Nikon was well spent. So this is, I think this image is worth to look again at. I press 1 and you see here it is in the look again list. Let's go back to zoom to fit, and here is the toolbox with all the stuff you can expect: exposure compensation, saturation, hue, contrast, warmth and tint, that's color temperature, even sharpening, a curve, and some transforms here, flip and rotating, and a histogram, and even some information from the EXIF data. And then there's a menu bar. So before we start really, I have to set up this properly, and I find that in Edit Preferences. Let's look at that. You can adjust the background color, black or any other, the histogram height, this is okay, show file names in icon view. This doesn't seem to work with me here. Oh well, now it works. And I unselect it. Okay. Use the system theme. I like this one here, but if I click this, I get the general theme I have enabled on my system. And I think these are not worth to look at really. I have an option for quick export images. I can select a directory and I can make a file name out of it. This is here the original file name and then the number behind it. I can select a file type for export, PNG or TIFF. I especially like that there's an example for the resulting file name. These cryptic stuff here sometimes leads to very strange results. And there is a collection of other stuff to see. And we have here a color dialog. This color management stuff is still experimental, and I have loaded my camera profile file that I use in UFRAW as an input profile. There is a known bug with the display profile, so I keep it as sRGB. Every time I load the one for my monitor, the program dies. And, well, that's it with setting up. So let's close this. This was a short introduction into RAW Studio, and now let me show you how to process an image with it. I have reduced my selection here to these 5 images, and now I have to decide which one to process. And therefore I want to have a better look, and I remove the toolbox and this icon view here. Just click here and here, and now I can look at this image and press Ctrl left key, look at the other ones. Takes a while, so this is not as good as the one before. Ctrl left. I should have marked the first one. I'm at the beginning. Okay, so Ctrl right, the second image. This was better. I mark it with 2. You see on the bottom here, changed photo priority to 2. Right click, no, Control right key. This, no, this is too mushy. Oh, here I'm somewhere where there's a lot of noise. Well, yeah. I have to compare this with UFRAW, with the output of UFRAW. The workflow I like much more here. And let's compare it to UFRAW output. Well, this isn't it the real one. This looks fine. The foot could be more in focus here, but well, let's give this a layer 2. And are we at the end? No. Here, such a thing like in GIMP, a little thumbnail where you can navigate would be great. I'll just let you know this, and as you will see that, and as you will see this before everybody else, so you have a chance to implement it. This one wasn't it, but this one is nice. Well, yeah, this is a number 2, and I think I'm at the end of my line here, my lineup of images. This should be the number 1, and let me get the icon box back into the image. Here are my 3 images now, and I can compare them. This or there is a way to reduce the load times in between if you have a lot of memory. It works when I'm not screen recording, but with the screen recorder on, there is simply not enough room for that. Okay, let's look at, well, I think it's this one here. And now I select here number 3, priority 3, select this image. I make the icon box invisible and get my toolbox back onto the screen. This is really my first try at RAW Studio, and so perhaps I'm making some mistakes here with the workflow or so, but this is the thing I thought was sensible. So I right click and say zoom to fit. There's a key for that, a key combination which is not very nice on my keyboard here, and my German keyboard. And well, I want first to straighten this image. No, I don't think it should be straightened. It has the right angle here, but I want to crop it. There is right click, crop. And now I can just draw a frame, and when I go down here I have a context window for cropping. You see here I have golden sections, rule of thirds, lines, and a thing I find very good, this golden triangle or harmonious triangle. Oh, they look really good. And I can set aspect ratios. Well, it runs down here out of the window, but I'll keep that at freeform. So let's look how to crop this. I can move the crop window around. I can change the size by grabbing it at the edges, and I can I think this is fine here. With a right click I accept the crop. Next up is the color temperature, and I can try automatic, and I don't like this. I can try pressing C, like get the stuff from a camera, and my camera has done it right here. Or I could change here the color temperature or the tint of the image. Well, I think I just press C and take what my camera has calculated. There's a way to play around with this. If you have fiddled around and found an exposure that you like and want to try a different thing, just select tab B or C. This is, let's say, a playground for playing around. So, exposure is spot on with this image. Saturation can be a little bit stronger, I think. Yes. Contrast is okay. And here, down here is the curves tool. Let's apply a little bit of S-curve with this. No, let's apply an inverted S-curve. Let's reduce a bit the contrast. This looks nice, doesn't it? I have just inserted some more points. You can every time right click here and reset the curve, and you've got the old thing here. I'll get the old thing back. I think I just leave it as it is. You have seen what I can do here. There's the histogram for checking out, the red, blue and green histogram, and the luminance histogram here, and it works well. Nothing overblown, a little bit of black here, underexposure a little bit, and well, I think that is it, what I can do here, except for sharpening. Now let's try to sharpen this image. I go to zoom to 100%, and now you see here a little bit of noise in this area here. I don't know if this came by increasing the saturation. Let me go down with the saturation. Well, yes, it's definitely less. So let's simply reset the saturation, and then let me sharpen this a bit. This was too much. I think this is okay for sharpening. For exporting this, I go to File and click on Quick Export, or I could have pressed Ctrl S. So this takes a while, and now the image has been exported. There's another nice thing here, Export to GIMP. When I click here, GIMP will be opened with this image loaded. I like RAW-Studio very much. RAW-Studio is a great tool for batch processing, but this is stuff for another show. First I have to learn that. And now let's look into the litho film. This is a box of litho film I found in my box with memorabilias. And it's, well, it's about 30 years old, and more than 30 years old. I made this in a workshop, and let's look into it. If I would ever want to use these again in the real world, I would touch them with white gloves on, not to leave fingerprints on them. But this is just memories and of no other value. So let me sort this a bit out. All these small stuff I'll put on the side. Well, we worked small because this stuff isn't cheap, hasn't been cheap, and as a teenager, well, money was not that much around. So this is, as far as I recall, all the stuff that was needed to do one project. Yes, this all belongs to one project, and this here has basically cost me a week. We did in this week we did one training project and one reel. This was the one for real. So what do we have here? Let me put this here aside. This is the final product. You see here I have positives and negatives. This is the positive, this is a negative. And you see I have here different exposures of them. Let me put this a bit in order. Each positive and each a negative from each. And well, it doesn't fully fit. You make a positive out of a negative in putting the positive. You start with one positive from your film negative and take that as your master image. I think this should be, this is the master. This is the master. You see here, I hope you can see here, there are still some gray values in it. And then you start to make from this positive negative with a certain amount of light. Let's say this here is 4 seconds. Then another one, this is only 1 second. And this is in between, 3 seconds or so. And then you copy this one onto a next sheet of film and get another positive. And this positive here is nearly only black and white. Let's take this one here for better looking at it. This is nearly only black and white. Then you take this one and make a very weak positive out of it. And I won't I won't take this here apart, because this here is made out of 3 layers. I hope you can see this here. Was it 3 or was it 4? No, 3. 3 layers. 3 layers of weak positives glued with tesafilm, or sellotape as it's called in England, I think, onto each other. The trick by gluing them together is to keep them registered, to look at them and move them around and put one exactly on top of the other. So and with this bulk of 3 negatives superimposed upon each other, you make a copy, a positive, for getting it into your portfolio or putting it on the wall. And this is done in an enlarger on soft paper, a paper that renders good gray values, because this image is all about different grays. And somehow I've lost the original, I think, the print, but I think you can see a bit how it should have looked if I put it up near to the camera and the focus gets it. It's a bit like the posterize function that GIMP has, and well, I'll redo this thing here, not with this motif, but with a different motif, in one of the future shows. I have set for myself a goal to create a process that mimics these old techniques as near as possible, and doesn't go the way I think most of these tutorials and techniques go, to find a way that gives the same output. So this needs a little bit of thinking, but I have some nice results already, and well, look for future shows with segments about this in it. After you've seen now the real stuff, I'll try to emulate a little bit of that in GIMP. In our photo group at 23HQ, there is a discussion about translating old techniques from the darkroom to GIMP. And this has been kicked off by Little Tank or Norman, and well, I think the age average in this discussion is a little bit higher than else on the internet, but when you look at it, there are very interesting ways to do stuff. And now I want to show you some of the stuff that we have been talking here about. I remember from my days in the darkroom some of this. And now I'll try to translate that into GIMP. I think you'll remember this image. I choose it for this because it's very suitable for working with some of these techniques. I would have chosen it with film too. So let's try to emulate a litho film here. First I double the layer, because I want to keep this layer as it is. And I rename this here Lith 1. And I use the curves tool to get the result I want to have. And I want to have a lot of black, and so I pull the black here over. I want to have a lot of white, and I want to have a lot of contrast, so I make this even stronger with an S-curve. And this here is about the output of the Lisp process. I am not very sure if it is exactly the same stuff, because it's at least 25 years more than 25 years ago that I did this in the darkroom. So let's try this here. This is my first film. This is a positive, and I need a negative also. And I make another copy and call it lith negative, and it's number 2. And I use again, let me make this invisible. I use again the curves tool, and now I want to have the originally dark parts white, and I want to have the white parts dark. You see here I have a negative, and I want to get basically the same stuff as with the positive. I want to have a lot of white and a lot of black, and a very steep line between, very steep gradient between. The trick now is, in the darkroom you never had to exactly similar outputs, because you made, every time you made it a little bit different, and now I make this deliberately a little bit different to get an effect. I pull this over to here and this a bit over to here. I think this can be fine. So this is not exactly the mirror image of my other curve. And I click OK. Now I have these both here. And now I just put them over one over the other and go down with my opacity slider. Well, that was the wrong layer here. I go down with my opacity slider, and you see somewhere around here I have a really gray image. And now I can just slide this up and down and get some nice effects, and I can start to move this layer around here. This is a little bit to the right and a little bit to the top. Well, I think it would be better left, bottom, left, bottom. This looks for me a little bit better, and again left, bottom, a little bit overdone. This looks nice. Now I have a relief effect. These layers are not registered exactly, but well, shifted a little bit against each other. I can do other stuff. For example, well, let me move this back here. This is again the original registered image. I can rotate one of layer here. Just click on it, rotate, and I just wanted to rotate it a little bit. That was not enough. Well, 1/100th of a degree is not very much. You see, I haven't done this before here. Let's do 1 degree. Well, here. Now it's the effect is visible. And so you can get reliefs, you can get a lot of interesting stuff. Now I can change again the opacity. Look what's happening here. All this would have meant in the darkroom to copy a film to a film, another film, and make another copy every time, pulling it through all the chemicals and washing it in water, and then getting it dry and flat, and then copying it to another one. You could spend a whole weekend on the stuff I had just done here in these, let's say, 5 minutes. I want to thank you to Norman, and I have one tip for him. These lines here around, they are a bit, well, they are disturbing if you're working on the border. Just go to View and set here Show Layer Boundary, and they are gone. This was it for this week. I'm very interested to hear comments from you about the show. Please either write on the blog at meetthegimp.org or write me an email at info@meetthegimp.org. I'm especially interested if you like this modular approach to the show, having several topics, several blocks in a show, or if you prefer one topic for 20 minutes to half an hour. Please write me your opinion. And with that, I say goodbye to next week.
Photocastnetwork.com, your photography resource in the podosphere. Photocastnetwork.com